An Otero County Sheriff's deputy is now facing a first-degree murder charge after fatally shooting a Mescalero Apache teenager last summer.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Southern Draw Law. My name is James White, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, former police officer. First thing I want to do is let you watch the news story that just dropped in the last couple of days. It comes to us from KRQE 13 News out of New Mexico. Let's check it out.
Body camera video shows the deputy shooting 17-year-old Elijah Hadley less than 30 seconds after seeing him along the side of the road.
This is the moment Otero County Sheriff's Deputy Jacob Diaz Austin spotted 17-year-old Elijah Hadley walking along U.S. Highway 70 east of Tularosa on June 25th of last year.
Stop right there, bro. Stop. Stop. Stop right there.
Video shows Hadley stop and lift his hand to cover his eyes as the deputy asks if he's all right.
What are you doing? Let me see your other hand, bro. Let me see your other hand, dog.
Hadley tosses a gun to the side as the deputy fires 4 times, hitting Hadley.
42 bases, shots fired, shots fired.
Now it was later determined to be a BB gun. Hadley goes on to scream he's dying as Deputy Diaz Austin runs around to the passenger side to grab the first aid kit.
I'm not hit, subject down.
You can hear Diaz Austin yell to Hadley not to move or reach for the gun or he will get shot again. Hadley continues to yell it's a BB gun and rolls onto his stomach.
So I want to draw your attention to the fact that at 23:12 and 13 seconds, so that would be 11:12 p.m. and 13 seconds, you see Mr. Hadley discard what appears to be a handgun. He's leaning forward. He's not pointing the gun at the officer. He's not even holding the gun by the handle. He's simply discarding it off to the side with his right hand as his left hand is still tucked under the blanket. Right at that moment, this deputy fires 4 rounds at him. Now, Hadley is clearly struck by at least one of the rounds. We don't know where, but we know that he is alive and we know that he is rolling around on the ground and he's yelling at the officer that it's a BB gun. Now, we don't know what happened in the period of time. So it's about a minute and a half since the initial shooting. But if you look at the timestamp when the rest of the shots are fired, it's 23:15 and 43, which means that there's been 3 minutes and 30 seconds that have elapsed from the time the original shots, the first 4 shots were fired, and now. Let's continue.
The deputy then opens fire again. And seconds later, firing 4 more shots.
I can't render aid. I'm 10-4. I can't render aid. He's still moving and the gun's underneath him. Okay.
Diaz Austin then asks dispatch if he should render aid. He's told to stand by.
Do you know where he was shot?
In the face, in the chest, his arm, and I believe in the back of the head, like the top of his head area.
Today, the Bernalillo County District Attorney's Office charged the deputy with first-degree murder.
I got no pulse anywhere.
Madison Connor, KRQE News 13.
The family told News 13 tonight in a statement they hope the DA's decision to charge the deputy is a step towards justice and, quote, the deputy shot Elijah 20 times. At least 15 of those shots came as he laid on the ground bleeding, unarmed and screaming in pain.
Now, when this story first broke back in June, it was initially sort of touted as a justified shooting. And so you had the Otero County Sheriff's Office who called in the New Mexico State Police, an independent state police agency charged with conducting officer-involved shooting investigations on an independent basis throughout the state of New Mexico. So you would expect that they would get it right. We saw what happened on the video. The video is dated June 25th. Let me draw your attention to the initial press release that the independent New Mexico State Police put out on their Facebook page. Let's take a look at it and we'll read through it. June 27th, 2024, this is 2 days after the shooting. So that means they've seen the body cam, they've got all the information. On June 25th, 2024, the New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau was requested to investigate an officer-involved shooting involving the Otero County Sheriff's Office. Investigation Bureau agents learned that at around 10:45 p.m., an OCSO deputy was dispatched to conduct a welfare check on a male subject walking in the median on U.S. Highway 70 near mile marker 240. The male subject was identified as Elijah Hadley. Now here's where the important stuff happens. The deputy located Hadley, and as the deputy approached, Hadley presented what appeared to be a firearm at the deputy. The deputy fired at least one round from his weapon, striking Hadley. Agents later learned the object that Hadley presented at the deputy was an airsoft gun. Again, presented at the deputy was an airsoft gun. Hadley was pronounced deceased on the scene by the Office of the Medical Investigator. The deputy was not injured during this incident. Well, that's important. The OCSO deputy will not be identified by the New Mexico State Police. For information on his duty status or administrative actions taken, please contact the Otero County Sheriff's Office. This bottom paragraph is the important part. The New Mexico State Police acts solely as a fact finder in the officer-involved shootings and does not determine whether an officer's actions were justified. There isn't much to this case, right? This case is not super complicated. This is a trigger-happy cop who completely overreacted to a non-threat. It's not real complicated. So you got his statement. Clearly, you're not going to be able to get an interview from the child, except his testimony will be the most powerful in this entire investigation, because as he's rolling around on the ground, telling the officer that he's dying, as heartbreaking as it is, his words and actions are likely the reason that this police officer is now charged with first-degree murder, because he is saying over and over and over again, it's a BB gun, and he is rolling around on the ground and screaming in pain. And this happens for several minutes, right? But the important part of this is that the New Mexico State Police is sitting here in a press release saying that they are a fact finder, and they told multiple lies in the press release, okay? So they clearly wouldn't know a fact if it slapped them in the face, because the facts are right on camera. There's no disputing what happened. Now, I want to draw your attention to something else. It wasn't the state police who highlighted the position of the gun as Elijah Hadley threw it to the ground. It was the news media who isolated that frame, froze it, and highlighted the position of the gun right before he was shot by Deputy Diaz Austin. Now, in order to investigate this, I went back and I scrolled through all of the New Mexico State Police's Facebook posts, which is where they do their press releases. In fact, if you go to their website, there's like a headline that it'll say for more information, you click here and it'll kick you over to their Facebook page. So it's pretty obvious that they do all of their official postings on the Facebook page. So I scrolled through from June 27th, the original time, up until now. There's only one more mention of this case. And when I saw it, it said correction, and I thought, okay, they've gotten some pressure, they're going to do the right thing. So let's take a look at that. So this is a press release. This is dated August 27th, so this is 2 months, 60 days later. And there's a big red heading here that says correction, and it says update. Officer-involved shooting case update provided to Mescalero Apache leadership. But again, it says correction. So let's read. The New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau has completed and submitted a case file to the 12th Judicial District Attorney's Office in Alamogordo concerning the officer-involved shooting by an Otero County Sheriff's Officer on June 25th, 2024. This case has been assigned to the 2nd Judicial District Attorney's Office for further review. In line with ongoing efforts to keep the community informed, New Mexico Department of Public Safety Secretary Jason Bowie, along with the command staff and a representative from the governor's office, met with Mescalero Apache tribal leaders on August 15th to provide an overview of the investigation process and update on the status of the investigation. And we got quotes here. We are committed to delivering an accurate account of the events, and it is our priority is to ensure a comprehensive and unbiased investigation, said Secretary Bowie. Quotes continue. Open communication with tribal leadership and the family members are essential for building and maintaining strong trust-based relationships between the police and the communities they serve. Our goal is to ensure the community has confidence in the process. We ask that the community be patient as we work through the process. Key aspects of the investigation require additional analysis and are still pending for the Department of Public Safety Laboratory and Office of the Medical Investigator. This involves the collection of evidence, conducting interviews, and sharing investigative findings with the district attorney for review. In that entire correction press release that I just read you, not a single misrepresented fact that was in the original press release 2 months earlier was corrected. There was no additional information other than this. Now, they said, I heard. They said, we are committed to blah, 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 and I heard blah, 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 blah. But in that, what I deciphered in the process of decoding their bullshit is that these Apache people will not leave us alone and let us condone the killing of their teenagers. They just won't let it go. So we have to issue this correction. Except they didn't correct a single thing. They lied in the original press release. They're the fact finders. And they put out absolute contradictory information than what is on the videotape in the press release. Now, let's take a look at another thing. I took a screenshot recording from, say, today all the way back to like the 3rd of January. Let's look at all of the different things that they post on their Facebook page. Okay, so we got the Facebook page. We're scrolling down here. Oh, arrested. Oh, we got a trooper, women's law enforcement, BS. We got a pursuit. Ooh, arrested. Got some drug dealers and some guns. Drug dealers. Okay. More guns. Oh, we got 2025 goals. Kill a couple more people and get away with it. Arrested. Perry Halls. Oh, look here. Looky here. They've got another officer involved shooting, and this time what they did was they actually showed a picture of the suspect pointing a gun directly at the police officer. Now, it's amazing they didn't show a still photograph of the killing of Elijah Hadley. I wonder why. All right, keep going. Oh, more drug dealers. Did you notice what I noticed? That not a single press release with Deputy Jacob Diaz Austin's mugshot on it saying Apache child murderer caught in Otero County. Nothing. They've announced the arrest of everybody in New Mexico. They announced that their DWI unit won a MAD award, of all things, for making something like 800 arrests and ruining 800 lives in the state of New Mexico. They got all that on there. Nowhere in there do they say excellent investigation by the New Mexico State Police in an independent capacity leads to the arrest of Otero County Sheriff's Deputy for the brutal murder of 17-year-old Elijah Hadley. Nothing. Radio silence. You guys remember a couple videos ago when I talked about how when they think they're right, they come out, they give you all the information. They even show you a video of the guy holding a gun right at the dash cam, right? When they're wrong, lips are sealed. Now, they did say something important at the bottom of that press release, and it mentioned that they had to get information from the medical examiner's office. And here's why. I'm going to share this piece of information with you as far as proving the elements of a crime so you'll understand why they probably waited a little bit of time before they were able to bring these charges. You'll remember that in a couple of my videos over the last, say, 10 videos, if you've watched them, I talked about the elements of negligence being duty, breach, causation, and damages. When you try to prove a homicide case, you have to prove that causation, okay? So what they're trying to do is they're trying to distill the investigation down to this. You've got 3 separate shootings, essentially, all within, say, a 3-minute span or 4-minute span. So the first 4 rounds were rounds that took Mr. Hadley to the ground and initially injured him. And that's where he was rolling around saying it was a BB gun. 3 minutes later, you had a second burst of rounds that was like 11 or 12 rounds. And then very shortly after that, you had another 3 rounds or 4 rounds that were shot. In total, this deputy shot at this child 19 times. Okay, but here's the problem with the prosecution. The prosecution has to prove which of those rounds or which of those series of shots killed him. And here's why. You could find yourself in a situation where a jury looked at this case and said, you've got a kid tossing a gun and you've got an officer that potentially overreacted. So you fire 4 rounds, boom, 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 right? A jury may look at that and say, if those 4 rounds had killed him, we might be talking about a different case. But that's not what happened. Remember that he was still alive on the ground rolling around after the first 4 rounds. What they needed from the medical examiner was to determine, based on the body cam video and based on the rest of the evidence, whether any of those first 4 rounds were fatal. Because if any of the first 4 rounds were fatal, you could find yourself in a situation where some jurors would say, well, we can kind of understand, even though he was trigger happy and he jumped the gun, we can kind of understand he saw a gun, he may have started pulling the trigger, he may not have been able to back off of it, okay? In that case, it'd be very unlikely, in my opinion, even though you and I both know this is a bad shoot, it's 100% a bad shoot from Jump Street. It was never going to be good. But there would be jurors out there, especially the bootlicking type, that would say, well, we can kind of get it, right? They were waiting for the autopsy. They were waiting for the information from the medical examiner so that they could definitively say before they brought charges, no, he was alive after the first 4 rounds. He was rolling on the ground. He was testifying in his own murder trial to the fact that he was still alive and in need of aid. And this deputy, 3 minutes later, fired an additional 15 rounds into this child as he laid and pleaded for help. And those were the rounds that killed him. And that is where we bring together the entire case and create what's called the causal link. But for this deputy's actions, not the first 4 rounds, but the 3 minutes later when the kid is rolling around begging for help, explaining that he's not a threat, and this deputy continued to unload an entire magazine into him and failed to render aid. That is where we get the causal link. Because again, he's not dead after the first 4 rounds. His death happens after the second and third series of bursts. So you establish the premeditated or willful intent that you need in order to prove the murder case for the second and third burst of rounds. And that's why they were waiting for all the information to come in so that they could tell the jury, no, this kid was alive. He was in need of help. Maybe we could understand. I'm not saying that they should be able to understand that. I'm not saying that it was justified. What I'm saying is that you can play a little theatrics with the jury and say, man, look, officers have a hard job. Maybe we could understand if the first 4 rounds had killed him. This is a terrible tragedy. He had already started pulling the trigger, but that's not what happened, ladies and gentlemen. That is not what happened. You had an officer who made a mistake. And then he made it worse because you had a child in need, a child that this guy signed up to save. This guy took an oath to protect the people of Otero County. And in spite of the fact that he made a mistake and he put this child's life in danger, he had an opportunity to go to that child, render aid, and we could have made it right. We can't make it right anymore, ladies and gentlemen, because that child is dead. That child will never see his 18th birthday. He will never see his 21st birthday, all because this chicken shit deputy couldn't hold the trigger and couldn't deal with the fact that he made a gross mistake. So what did he do? He fired 15 more rounds just to make sure that he wasn't moving, because 2 people can keep a secret if one of them's dead. What he didn't think about was the fact that all of this would be on body cam for you to be able to see and for Elijah Hadley to be able to testify at his own murder trial. We ask, ladies and gentlemen, that in the spirit of justice, that you find former Deputy Jacob Diaz Austin guilty of the first-degree murder of Elijah Hadley and allow him at a minimum to spend the rest of his days in prison in exchange for the life that he cut short willfully, deliberately, and unnecessarily. In closing, and I'm talking directly to police officers, this is the reason they don't trust you. You put out bullshit memos saying you're going to independently investigate things. You lie in the memo. You have an opportunity to issue a correction after you get pressure from the public, from the tribal community. You issue no correction. You just issue a piece of paper that says correction. No substantive changes whatsoever. No information other than these people have been breathing down our backs and we're tired of it, so we're going to put out this press release and say we're going to do something. But you didn't do anything. No correction, no arrest update, nothing. Nothing to save face from the New Mexico State Police. And that's the reason that people don't trust you. And you know what? You earned it. You earn the hate every single time you do something like this. Anyway, that's all for this one, guys. It is devastating and heartbreaking, but I appreciate you sticking it out. I'd like to thank you guys for heading over. I'm up to 400 subscribers already just because of you guys and your kindness over at the second channel, the Southern Draw Law Court Cam. I haven't posted content yet, but I'm going to start posting content sometime in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be all like courtroom stuff. It's going to be a different type vibe. All my police interaction stuff will still be over here. If you'd like to support the Southern Draw Law channel monetarily, I don't offer any type of memberships, but I will leave my Venmo and PayPal link both here on the screen as well as in the description. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment on the video. Check out some of the other videos on the channel and leave a comment on there as well. Until I see you again, take care. Always film your interactions with the police and keep your evidence to yourself.